What is going on, everyone? Badger here. Should have like and sub, and let's get into this. I really liked Destiny, the first one, and I liked the second one up to a certain point, which I'll talk about in a second. Best thing about Destiny is the lore. Really good lore about the traveler and the darkness chasing it, and is it responsible for creating life or just stoking the conditions already there, and good and evil, and all those fun things that you want in life, and existential questions and all that. And then the gameplay is fun. Problem with me was the DLC. At least for the second one, I think I got to about it was like Return to the Moon or something like that. And then Great Dead Pulio was nice enough to get it for me so we could play it. And you find out oh, here, go grind out 8 hours of the same rinse and repeat shit that you didn't want to do to begin with, so you can play the thing that should have been unlocked when you bought the DLC. It's a long way to say that Bungie and Destiny 2 have all been hit by the most recent wave of layoffs that we've seen just across the board on all video games. Some of them more deserved than others. While there may be some crossfire in this one, I think the vast majority of the people let go probably deserved it. And we saw this when it first came out, that it was a lot of them, much like we're hearing in some of the movie circles, that a lot of the people that got jobs because of popularity of DEI and ESG money and agenda, they're not being fired. Pronouns and bio type. The activists first before and they're the ones that are hired and they don't even like the games or the players of the games that they're working on. And so we heard that a lot of them had been fired, over a couple hundred at least. And then we saw, of course, Grums came out basically saying, calling a spade here, saying that the Bungie layoffs were self-inflicted, and that a lot of Destiny players have already moved on to First Descent, which currently has double the number of players online. And that's because, well, one, there's Bungie still courting that modern audience, still courting the ESG scores and agenda. And most people now, they just, hell, why don't you include the trans bullet skins like Call of Duty did? That would be fun. And again, if you look at those numbers compared to First Descendants, look at that. 100,000 players at one time compared to the just under 50,000. Still impressive, and God, you really, in context of Helldivers 2, it shows you how impressive it was. And that just brings us to this about the DLC going forward, whether we're going to see it at all, because like we said, a lot of those firings were, yes, they were pronouns and bio people, but over 220 of the roles were eliminated. 17% of the studio's workforce. That's a lot. That's a lot. And even though we say that all of these companies have been taken over by the woke mind virus and hired these activists, sometimes on purpose, sometimes they slip in, sometimes it's, like I said, it's just part of the culture of the company at that moment. And then they realize, oh shit, this doesn't work. It's actively losing us money and players, and they have to course correct. And we've been seeing a lot of course correcting. So of the 220 people, at least 155 of those people have been moved over to Sony Interactive Entertainment, Bungie's parent company. And so that means at least internally, they might be having about 75 people doing their own internal new project studio, but that's still a lot of people to get rid of, which means going forward, how are you going to make DLC? How are you going to test it? How are you going to market it, especially if you're doing it on a much smaller level? And so here we go. In the wake of this announcement, Jeff Grubb at Giant Bomb detailed, basically, they are going to continue working on Marathon and Destiny 2. They are going to keep making new content for Destiny 2. Now, when it comes to Destiny 2, the expectation, I believe, internally is that the future content will be lighter, smaller, to take less time than what the final shape did, and require fewer people. And this is where it gets sort of like, what you are feeling towards Destiny 2 will depend, as Great Dead Pulio says, how toxic your relationship with Destiny 2 is, and or how you were feeling about those DLCs to begin with. So he says, so there will be expansions and updates, but they will sort of be not a shell of their former selves, but they'll definitely have that vibe about them. So something familiar, but definitely different and reduced, that can be done with that smaller team. Adding at the end here that Destiny 2 is continuing to go, probably starting up some new seasons. So you'll still get new seasons and skins and things like that, and some smaller level events, but nowhere huge. And again, as you saw, it's gone even less. Of course, it's players right now, it's negligible of a couple thousand, but still, about 50,000 at any given time if you want to be generous and round up. That's not horrible, but that's nowhere near what we're seeing. And of course, First Descendants is newer and Helldivers has lost its steam. And then just, it's still got decent numbers, but like you said, it has been going in a downward spiral since then. As people play with the new toy on the block, we'll see if Destiny can hold on to things, but man, if all they're going to have is more grinding and then smaller DLC offerings, that's definitely not going to get me coming back to. I'd rather start anew with First Descendants or something else entirely, because I don't know about you, I'm getting tired of games where I got to grind the hell out of it for hours upon hours upon hours, and then it becomes a job in and of itself. Anyway, let me know what you think. Make sure to like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you.
Well, bye.